To install this radio, we're going to be using the PAC NDK 780. This is for 2012 to 2018 Nissan. To do this kit, according to the instructions on the back here that we can see through the bag, we're going to need the brackets off of the factory radio. To get those off, it is a Torx machine thread screw, which is perfect because we're going to need that same screw to screw into the Alpine. I like to use a regular screwdriver to get these off, just because sometimes these are really screwed in and you don't want to strip them using a drill. One of the things we found out while we were working on this is that they did try to install an aftermarket radio. That's why this wasn't screwed in properly. And they've went ahead and put an R on it, meaning right. They got it wrong, but they still marked this right. With the brackets off, you can set this aside and grab our Alpine radio. Inside the bag, obviously the instructions are there. But there's these two little pieces like this, which are going to allow us to attach this to the brackets, and then the big screen piece here. And like I was talking about earlier, as you can see when I put this on, you know, it has, it's countersunk in there pretty far. It's like 1/4 of an inch. So when I use the Alpine screen, it sticks up into this bracket, which is nice because all these buttons are across the bottom here. If it was a newer radio, it would sit in there very far and maybe not look as good. That is the way of the new world. If you get one of the motorized screens, those stick out far. It's the new mechaless radios that can cause you grief. These brackets here are designed to snap into place. However, sometimes the holes that they are designed to snap into, they didn't do a really good job of cleaning the press last time. You may have to go in there with a razor knife and cut out the excess that is in there. Alright, so after playing with this for far too long, we have these attached to it, which will go over the radio just like this. And there is a left and right on the side, so make sure you get that right. Alright, with a little bit of futzing around, check to make sure that everything is seated properly. And if it is, this should be all part of the same piece. Next, I want to bring back the big dash bezel because this is supposed to be attached to that. Now they've removed all the screws, and they're missing, of course, so we'll have to find some new screws. But this should line up. And naturally it doesn't line up the way I was hoping. We'll go back at it and see if we can get it to work the way it's supposed to. When doing kits, it is, you know, because they are universal and they fit multiple cars, they don't always get it right for every single application. Sometimes they do. On the back of these, they have these little nubs that stick up. These two closest to the radio need to be sanded out of the way. Now, if you don't want to use this type of kit with these type of brackets, Metra does make a kit that has all of this all built in, so you don't have to use these brackets. Both of them in the end will get you to where you want to be. A radio on the dash. Sometimes when you're doing what you think is going to be the most easy thing in the world, it immediately turns into something that is not. When you're using factory brackets, guaranteed that is going to happen. And in this case, in order for this to work properly, it needs this screw to go into it. But there's nothing in the bottom because if this was a doubled in, we'd be able to get this screw and that would be our 2 screws. We don't have that, so we need to drill this bracket now to fit a secondary screw down here in the bottom to hold the radio. This is just one of those unforeseen things that happens a lot of the times. If you're looking at dash kits and you see something that looks like this, where it doesn't come with brackets, be prepared. Chances are good you're gonna run into some kind of a problem. Alright, well that looks good. We'll do the same to this bracket and then we'll be back on track. Perfect. Now we just need to find some screws to replace the screws that aren't there. Luckily our standard 1/2-inch screw that we use will fit. I'm also applying a washer. Make sure if you're doing something like this that the screw that you choose is not too long. You don't want it to poke through the front of the dash kit. That would definitely ruin your day. Because we had to do some modifications to this, I'm going to take it into the car and just test fit it and make sure all my pieces fit the way they're supposed to. What I'm checking with this back in the dash is these top 2 screw points to make sure that they line up, and they do. The radio looks good in the dash. All right, looks good. Take it back out, set it on the bench. We can continue on with the installation.